Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. I sit in the living room, the silence around me heavy and thick. The only sound is the slow, rhythmic ticking of the wall clock, each tick a reminder of the minutes that pass without her. Melissa told me she'd be back by midnight, but the clock has already struck 1. My eyes dart towards the door every few seconds, half expecting it to swing open with her walking through it, all smiles, maybe a little tipsy, recounting stories of her high school days. But the door remains shut, the house eerily quiet. I lean back on the couch, my phone in hand, scrolling through messages, but there's nothing from her. It's unlike her. Melissa is usually punctual, always keeping me in the loop about where she is, what she's doing. It was one of the things I loved about her, the predictability, the reliability. But tonight, something feels off. I try calling her again, the 4th time tonight, but it goes straight to voicemail. I leave another message, trying to keep my voice steady, but I know there's a slight edge to it. Hey, Mel, it's getting late. Just checking in. Call me back when you get this, okay? I end the call and toss the phone onto the coffee table, running a hand through my hair. The reunion. That's all it was supposed to be, a simple high school reunion. She'd been excited about it for weeks, even bought a new dress just for the occasion. I remember how her eyes sparkled when she showed it to me, spinning around like a schoolgirl, asking me how she looked. Stunning, I had told her. And she did. But now, hours later, as I sit alone in this dark house, I start to wonder if there was more to that excitement than just seeing old friends. I shake the thought away, feeling guilty for even letting it cross my mind. Melissa isn't like that. We've been married for 8 years, and I trust her. I do trust her. Don't I? Suddenly, the sound of a car pulling up outside snaps me out of my thoughts. I jump up, heart pounding as I move towards the window, peeking through the curtains. It's her. The headlights of her car cut through the night as she pulls into the driveway, parking with an unsteady hand. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding, but my relief is short-lived. Something's not right. Melissa stumbles out of the car, her movements sluggish, uncoordinated. I watch as she fumbles with her purse, almost dropping it before catching it at the last second. She looks disheveled, her hair a mess, her dress wrinkled and slightly askew. My stomach tightens. I hurry to the door, opening it just as she reaches for the handle. The smell of alcohol hits me immediately, strong and pungent. She sways slightly as she steps inside, her eyes glassy, unfocused. Melissa, I say, my voice laced with concern, what happened? You're late. I was worried. She blinks up at me, her smile crooked, almost forced. Hey, baby, she slurs, reaching out to touch my arm, but her hand misses, landing awkwardly on my chest instead. Sorry, lost track of time. You know how these things go. Her words are slow, thick, and I can tell she's had more than just a few drinks. I guide her to the couch, gently lowering her onto the cushions. Sit down, okay? I'll get you some water. She giggles, a sound that feels out of place, and waves a hand dismissively. No need. I'm fine. Just had a little too much fun, that's all. But as I look at her, really look at her, something twists in my gut. This isn't just drunkenness. There's a shadow in her eyes, something dark lurking beneath the surface. I've seen Melissa tipsy before, but never like this. I fetch her a glass of water anyway, pressing it into her hands. Drink this, I say firmly, and she does, taking small sips, her gaze unfocused. I watch her carefully, trying to decipher what's going on, but she offers no explanations, just sits there, staring at the floor, lost in thought. After a few minutes, I can't take it anymore. Melissa, I say, kneeling in front of her, what happened tonight? You're not yourself. She looks at me then, her eyes filling with tears. My heart lurches. I'm sorry, she whispers, her voice cracking, I'm so sorry. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Sorry. For what? I ask, my mind racing with possibilities, each one worse than the last. But she doesn't answer. Instead, she breaks down, sobbing into her hands, her whole body shaking. I reach out to comfort her, but she flinches away, curling into herself. Melissa, I say again, my voice firmer now, you need to tell me what's going on. She shakes her head, her sobs growing louder, more desperate. I can't. I can't. Fear grips me, a cold, clawing sensation in the pit of my stomach. I've never seen her like this, so broken, so vulnerable. I don't know what to do, how to fix this. All I know is that something terrible has happened, and I'm not sure I'm ready to hear it. But I have to. I need to know. Mel, I say softly, trying to reach her through the haze of her despair, whatever it is, we can get through it. But you have to tell me. Please. She looks up at me, her face streaked with tears, her eyes filled with a pain that tears at my soul. And then, in a voice so small, so broken, she whispers, I made a mistake. The room spins around me, and for a moment, I can't breathe. I knew something was wrong, but hearing her say it, confirming my worst fears, is like a knife to the heart. A mistake. I repeat, my voice hollow. What do you mean? But before she can answer, she passes out, slumping forward into my arms, her body limp and unresponsive. I catch her, holding her close, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. Anger, fear, confusion, but most of all, betrayal. I lay her down on the couch, covering her with a blanket, and sit beside her, my mind racing. What happened tonight? What mistake did she make? And why do I have a feeling that everything is about to change? As I sit there, staring at her sleeping form, I know one thing for certain, whatever it is, I'm going to find out. And when I do, nothing will ever be the same. The next morning, I'm woken up by the sound of my phone buzzing incessantly on the nightstand. My eyes are gritty with exhaustion, and my head is pounding with the remnants of last night's stress. For a moment, I think it was all a bad dream, that Melissa didn't come home drunk and distraught, whispering about a mistake. But then I remember her tear-streaked face, her slurred apologies, and a cold dread settles over me. I groan and reach for the phone, squinting at the screen. It's a message from David, my best friend since college. Hey, man, you awake? We need to talk. It's about Melissa. My heart skips a beat, the words burning into my brain. About Melissa? I reply, the anxiety building in my chest. David's reply comes almost instantly. Yeah. Let's meet at our usual spot in 30 minutes. Trust me, it's important. I glance over at the couch where Melissa is still asleep, her face peaceful, as if nothing is wrong. I want to wake her up, demand answers, but something tells me to wait. I need to clear my head first, and David's the guy I trust to help me do that. With a heavy sigh, I get dressed, moving quietly so I don't disturb Melissa. I leave a note on the kitchen counter, letting her know I'll be back soon, and then I'm out the door, heading to the diner where David and I always meet. The morning air is crisp, the sun just beginning to rise over the rooftops, but I can't appreciate the beauty of it. My mind is too preoccupied with the nagging feeling that something is seriously wrong. As I drive, the thoughts circle back to the night before, Melissa's strange behavior, her cryptic apology. The more I think about it, the more it gnaws at me. What could she have done that's so bad? When I arrive at the diner, David is already there, sitting in our usual booth at the back, nursing a cup of coffee. His face is serious, more serious than I've seen it in a long time. I slide into the seat across from him, my stomach twisted into knots. What's going on, David? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. David looks at me, his expression conflicted. He takes a deep breath, as if bracing himself for what he's about to say. Jake, I don't know how to tell you this, man. But, last night, after Melissa's reunion, something happened. Something you need to know about. A cold shiver runs down my spine. What do you mean? What happened? David hesitates, his hand gripping his coffee cup so tightly that his knuckles turn white. After you went to bed last night, I got a call from an old friend, Tim. He was at the reunion too. He sent me something, Jake. A video. The word video hangs in the air between us like a dark cloud. My heart races as I try to process what David is telling me. A video of what? David pulls out his phone, his face grim. I didn't want to believe it at first. But, Jake, you need to see this. He hands me the phone, and I take it with shaking hands. My eyes lock onto the screen, and I press play. The video is shaky, the kind of thing shot on a phone in a dark room. It takes a moment for my eyes to adjust, to understand what I'm seeing. But when I do, it feels like the ground has been ripped out from under me. There's Melissa, my wife, sitting on a school desk, her dress hiked up, laughing and flirting with a man I vaguely recognize from old photos she showed me years ago. The video is grainy, the audio muffled, but the scene is unmistakable. They're too close, too intimate, and as the video progresses, it becomes clear that they're not just talking. They're touching, kissing, his hands all over her in ways that make my stomach turn. I can't breathe. My chest tightens as I watch, my mind screaming at me to look away, but I can't. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion, horrifying, but impossible to stop. The video ends abruptly, cutting off just as things start to get even more explicit. My hands are shaking so badly that I almost drop the phone. David reaches out, taking the phone back and shutting off the screen. Jake, I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to find out like this. I'm numb, my mind spinning, trying to reconcile the woman in that video with the woman I married. Who is that guy? I manage to choke out. David's expression darkens. His name's Ryan. Melissa's old high school boyfriend. They dated for a couple of years back then, but I thought it was ancient history. The name rings a faint bell. Melissa mentioned him in passing once, a long time ago, but I never thought anything of it. She said it was just a high school fling, nothing serious. But the way they were in that video. I pushed the thoughts away, forcing myself to focus on the present. How could she do this? My voice breaks, the pain hitting me like a sledgehammer. David shakes his head. I don't know, man. But there's more. Tim said people at the reunion were talking. Apparently, she and Ryan were pretty much glued to each other the whole night. Then, when the party started to die down, they snuck off together. That's when this was filmed. I feel sick to my stomach, the betrayal hitting me like a tidal wave. I trusted Melissa. We built a life together, and she threw it all away for this? For some stupid, meaningless fling with an old boyfriend? I need to talk to her, I say, my voice shaking with barely contained anger. David nods. Yeah, you do. But be careful, Jake. Don't do anything rash. Just, get the truth from her. I nod, but the fury bubbling inside me is hard to contain. I stand up, throwing a few bills on the table for the coffee I never drank. Thanks, David. I'll handle it from here. He stands up too, his face full of concern. If you need anything, you know I'm here for you. I nod again, but I'm already halfway out the door, my mind set on one thing, confronting Melissa. The drive back to the house is a blur, my thoughts consumed by the image of that video, of Melissa's face as she laughed and flirted with another man. How could she do this to me? To us? When I get home, the house is quiet. Too quiet. I find Melissa in the kitchen, still wearing the same clothes from last night, her face pale and drawn. She looks up when I walk in, her eyes widening with fear. Jake, she whispers, her voice trembling. We need to talk. I stare at her, my heart pounding in my chest. You're damn right we do. The tension in the room is suffocating as I sit down across from her at the kitchen table. For a moment, neither of us says anything. I can see the guilt in her eyes, the fear, but it does nothing to calm the storm inside me. Melissa, I begin, my voice cold. I saw the video. Her face crumples, tears spilling down her cheeks as she covers her mouth with her hands. I'm so sorry, Jake. I never meant for this to happen. It was a mistake, a horrible mistake. I shake my head, my anger boiling over. A mistake. That's all you can say. You cheated on me, Melissa. You threw everything we had away for some drunken night with your ex. She sobs harder, her shoulders shaking. It wasn't like that, Jake. I didn't mean for it to go that far. We were just talking at first, catching up, and then. I don't know what happened. I was drunk, and he just. I slam my hand on the table, making her jump. Don't you dare blame this on the alcohol, or on him. You made a choice, Melissa. You betrayed me. She looks at me, her eyes pleading. Please, Jake, let me explain. I know I messed up, but I love you. I've always loved you. This was a mistake, a terrible mistake, but it doesn't change how I feel about you. I stand up, my hands clenched into fists. How can you say that? How can you stand there and tell me you love me after what you did? Do you have any idea how much you've hurt me? She reaches out, but I step back, avoiding her touch. Jake, please. But I can't hear her right now. I turn away, my mind spinning with everything I've just learned. The video, the betrayal, the lies. It's all too much. I need some time to think, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. She nods, tears streaming down her face. I understand. Just, please don't give up on us, Jake. I'll do anything to make this right. But as I walk out of the kitchen, away from her, I know that things will never be the same again. I don't know what the future holds, but one thing is clear, the life I had with Melissa is over. And now, I have to figure out what comes next. I spend the rest of the day in a daze, wandering aimlessly through the city. My mind is a chaotic mess, replaying the events of the past 24 hours on an endless loop. I walk through crowded streets, past people who are laughing, talking, living their lives, completely unaware that mine is falling apart. Every so often, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in a shop window, and I hardly recognize the man staring back at me, hollow-eyed, haunted, a man whose world has just been shattered. Eventually, I find myself sitting on a bench in a small park, the sun beginning to set behind the trees. The soft rustle of leaves in the breeze does nothing to calm the storm inside me. I can't stop thinking about Melissa, about the betrayal, about the video that's seared into my mind. But more than that, I keep asking myself the same question over and over, why? Why did she do it? What drove her to throw away everything we had for a night with an old flame? As I sit there, lost in thought, my phone buzzes in my pocket. For a moment, I consider ignoring it, but then I see it's a text from David. Jake, how are you holding up? Do you need anything? I stare at the message for a moment before replying. I don't know, man. I'm trying to make sense of all this. David's reply is quick. I'm here for you, whatever you need. You don't have to go through this alone. His words are comforting, but they don't change the fact that I feel completely alone right now. I type out a quick response. Thanks, David. I just need some time to think. I put my phone away and lean back on the bench, closing my eyes and taking a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. But the peace I'm searching for is elusive. Every time I close my eyes, I see Melissa's face, hear her tearful apologies, and it all comes rushing back, the pain, the anger, the overwhelming sense of betrayal. I'm not sure how much time passes as I sit there, but eventually, I realize I can't avoid going home forever. I need answers, and there's only one person who can give them to me. With a heavy heart, I stand up and start making my way back to the house. The walk seems longer than it ever has before, and by the time I reach the front door, my hands are trembling. I don't know what I'm going to say to Melissa, how I'm going to face her, but I know I can't keep running from this. The house is eerily quiet when I step inside. I half expect Melissa to come rushing to the door, pleading for forgiveness, but the silence is almost worse. It feels like a tomb, like the echoes of our past happiness are mocking me. I find her in the living room, sitting on the couch with her head in her hands. She looks up when she hears me enter, her eyes red and puffy from crying. "Jake," she starts, her voice shaky, but I hold up a hand to stop her. "Don't," I say, my voice harsher than I intend. "Just, don't. I need to know why, Melissa. I need to understand why you did this." She looks at me, her eyes filled with a mix of shame and desperation. "I don't know how to explain it," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "It all happened so fast. One moment we were talking, reminiscing, and the next. I wasn't thinking, Jake. I wasn't thinking at all. I feel my anger flare up again, hot and intense. That's not good enough, Melissa. You weren't thinking. You didn't stop for 1 second to consider what this would do to us. To me." Tears spill down her cheeks, but I'm too furious to care. "I was stupid," she sobs. "I was stupid and selfish, and I hate myself for it. But it wasn't planned, Jake. I didn't go to that reunion thinking I was going to cheat on you." "Then what?" I demand, stepping closer, my fists clenched at my sides. "What made you do it? Was it him? Did you still have feelings for him?" She shakes her head vehemently. "No. It wasn't like that. Ryan, he was just an old memory, someone from my past. I never thought about him that way anymore. But last night, we started talking, and it was like being transported back in time. I felt young again, like I was that carefree girl in high school. And I got carried away. I lost myself in that feeling. Carried away. I repeat, my voice full of disbelief. You got carried away. You betrayed me because you wanted to feel young again." Her sobs become louder, more desperate. "I know it sounds awful, but it wasn't about you, Jake. It wasn't about our marriage. I wasn't thinking about what I was risking. I was just, in the moment, and I didn't stop to think." I run a hand through my hair, pacing back and forth in front of her. "You didn't stop to think about what it would do to me? To us? How could you be so careless, Melissa? How could you be so selfish?" She doesn't have an answer for that, just more tears, more apologies. I can see the regret in her eyes, but it does nothing to soothe the pain in my chest. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, is a stranger to me now. "Jake, please," she begs, her voice cracking. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but I love you. I love you more than anything. This was a terrible mistake, but it doesn't change how I feel about you. Please don't give up on us." I stop pacing and stare at her, my heart heavy with the weight of her words. I want to believe her, to believe that she still loves me, that this was just a moment of weakness. But the image of that video, of her with Ryan, is burned into my mind, and I can't shake the feeling that things will never be the same. "I don't know if I can do this, Melissa," I say, my voice breaking. "I don't know if I can move past this." She stands up, taking a step towards me, but I back away, keeping the distance between us. "Jake, please, just give me a chance to make it right. I'll do anything. Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. Just don't walk away from us." I can see the desperation in her eyes, the fear of losing everything we've built together. And I want to reach out, to pull her close, to tell her that we'll find a way to fix this. But I can't. The hurt is too fresh, the betrayal too deep. I need time, Melissa, I say finally, my voice barely above a whisper. I need time to figure out what I want, what I can live with. She nods, her face crumpling as more tears fall. Take all the time you need, Jake. I'll be here, waiting. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. I don't respond, because I don't know what to say. I turn and walk out of the living room, heading upstairs to the bedroom that no longer feels like a sanctuary. The bed we shared now feels like a lie, the memories we made there tainted by what she's done. I lie down on the bed, staring up at the ceiling, my mind racing. I want to believe that we can get through this, that we can find a way to heal and move on. But every time I close my eyes, I see her with Ryan, and the anger surges up again, overwhelming everything else. I don't know how long I lie there, lost in my thoughts, but eventually, I hear a knock on the door. I sit up, wiping my eyes, and call out, "Come in." The door creaks open, and I'm surprised to see my younger brother, Ethan, standing there. He looks at me with a mix of concern and sympathy, and I can tell he already knows what's happened. "Hey, man," he says softly, stepping into the room. "David called me. He thought you might need someone to talk to." I nod, grateful for the gesture, but I don't have the energy to say much. Ethan sits down on the edge of the bed, studying me with a serious expression. "Jake, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I can't imagine how you must be feeling right now." I shrug, trying to hold back the tears that threaten to spill over. "It's a mess, Ethan. Everything's a mess." He nods, understanding. "Yeah, it is. But you don't have to go through it alone. I'm here for you, whatever you need." I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can ever forgive her." Ethan is quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Jake, no one can tell you what to do or how to feel. But whatever you decide, make sure it's what's right for you. If you think there's a chance to save your marriage, then fight for it. But if you can't move past this, then, you have to do what's best for you." I nod, appreciating his honesty. "I just need time to think. To figure things out." Ethan reaches out, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Take all the time you need. And if you need to talk, or even just get out of the house for a while, you know where to find me." I manage a small smile, grateful for his support. "Thanks, Ethan. I might take you up on that." He gives my shoulder a reassuring squeeze before standing up. "Hang in there, Jake. You'll get through this, one way or another." As he leaves the room, I lie back down, staring at the ceiling once more. I know I have some tough decisions ahead, decisions that will change the course of my life forever. And as much as I want to believe that things can go back to the way they were, I know deep down that they never will. But one thing is certain, I can't keep running from the truth. I have to face it, no matter how much it hurts. And as I lie there, I start to realize that the only way to move forward is to confront the pain head-on, to find a way to either forgive or to let go. And whatever I choose, it will define the rest of my life. The days that follow are a blur of confusion and emotional turmoil. Melissa gives me space, staying at a friend's place while I try to process everything. I spend most of my time either pacing the house or lying awake in bed, the video and our confrontation playing over and over in my mind. I go through waves of anger, sadness, and an almost desperate longing for the life we had before this nightmare began. But beneath it all, there's a nagging feeling that something still doesn't add up. The whole thing feels wrong, like I'm missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. Melissa's explanation, that it was a moment of weakness, fueled by alcohol and nostalgia, doesn't sit right with me. It's too simple, too easy, and I can't shake the feeling that there's more to the story. Finally, after days of wrestling with my thoughts, I decide that I need answers. Real answers. Not just the half-truths and apologies Melissa has been feeding me. I pick up my phone and call David. He answers on the second ring. "Jake," he says, his voice cautious. "How are you holding up?" "I'm not," I admit, my voice raw. "I need to know more, David. I need to know everything. There's something off about all of this, and I can't move on until I figure out what it is." David is silent for a moment, and I can almost hear the gears turning in his head. "What do you mean? You think Melissa's hiding something?" "I don't know," I say, frustrated. But I can't shake the feeling that there's more to it. The video, her reaction, everything. It just doesn't add up. David sighs. "I get it, Jake. But what are you going to do? You can't keep torturing yourself with this." I take a deep breath, my resolve hardening. "I'm going to find out the truth, David. And I need your help." David hesitates, but eventually, he agrees. "All right. What do you need me to do?" "Find Tim," I say, my voice firm. "The guy who sent you that video. I want to talk to him, face to face." It doesn't take long for David to track down Tim. He's living in a neighboring town, working a dead-end job and spending most of his time at a local dive bar. David sets up a meeting for us at the bar, and I make the drive out there, my heart pounding the entire way. When I walk into the bar, the smell of stale beer and cigarettes hits me like a brick wall. The place is dimly lit, with a few patrons slumped over the bar or playing pool in the back. I spot Tim sitting at a table in the corner, nursing a beer. He looks up when I approach, his eyes narrowing as he recognizes me. "Jake, right?" he says, his voice gruff. "David told me you'd be coming." I nod and sit down across from him. "I want to know about the video," I say, cutting straight to the point. "The one you sent David. I need to know the truth." Tim takes a swig of his beer, eyeing me carefully. "What do you want to know?" "You've seen it. That's the truth." "Is it?" I challenge, leaning forward. "Because something about it doesn't make sense. Melissa said it was just a mistake, that she was drunk and didn't know what she was doing. But it doesn't look like that to me. It looks planned." Tim smirks, a cold, calculating expression that sends a shiver down my spine. "You're smarter than you look, Jake. You're right. It was planned." I feel my blood run cold. "What do you mean?" He sets his beer down and leans back in his chair, crossing his arms. "Ryan and Melissa, they've been in contact for a while now. That reunion was just the tip of the iceberg. They've been meeting up for months, planning this whole thing behind your back." I stare at him, my heart pounding in my ears. "What are you talking about? Planning what?" Tim shrugs, a casual gesture that infuriates me. "Ryan never got over Melissa. When he found out she was married, he was pissed. But he's a patient guy. He figured he could worm his way back into her life, get her to fall for him again, and ruin your marriage in the process." I feel like the floor is falling out from under me. "And Melissa? She just went along with it." Tim laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. "Not at first. She actually seemed happy with you. But Ryan's a manipulative bastard. He convinced her that you didn't love her anymore, that she deserved better. He played on her insecurities, and eventually, she gave in." I shake my head, unable to believe what I'm hearing. "But why? Why would she do this?" "Because people are weak," Tim says bluntly. "And Ryan? He knew how to exploit that. He knew how to make her feel wanted, needed. And once he had her hooked, it was just a matter of time before she caved." I sit there in stunned silence, my mind reeling. All this time, I thought it was just a mistake, a moment of weakness. But it was so much more than that. It was premeditated, calculated, a betrayal on a level I never imagined. And the video? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Tim's smirk widens. That was Ryan's idea. He wanted to make sure you found out, to rub your nose in it. He figured it was the ultimate revenge, not just stealing your wife, but making you watch it happen. A wave of nausea washes over me as I realize the full extent of their betrayal. Melissa didn't just cheat on me, she conspired with Ryan to destroy our marriage, to tear apart the life we built together. And she did it all while pretending to love me, to be sorry for what she'd done. I stand up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. I need to talk to her, I say, my voice shaking with barely suppressed rage. Tim just nods, a smug expression on his face. Good luck with that. But don't expect her to tell you the truth. She's been lying to you for months. I don't respond. I just turn and walk out of the bar, my mind racing with thoughts of what I'm going to say to Melissa, how I'm going to confront her with the truth. The drive back to the house is a blur, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turn white. When I finally arrive, I find Melissa sitting in the living room, waiting for me. She looks up when I walk in, her face a mixture of hope and fear. But I don't give her a chance to speak. I talk to Tim, I say, my voice cold and hard. I know everything. Her face pales, her eyes widening in shock. Jake, I can explain. No, I cut her off, my voice trembling with anger. You don't get to explain. You lied to me, Melissa. You lied to my face, and you kept lying, even after I confronted you. How could you do this to me? To us? She stands up, her eyes filling with tears. Jake, please, just let me explain. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Ryan, he manipulated me, he made me feel things I hadn't felt in a long time. I was weak, I was stupid, but I never meant to hurt you. Never meant to hurt me. I shout, my voice echoing off the walls. You destroyed me, Melissa. You destroyed everything we had, and for what? For some twisted revenge plot with your ex. How could you do that? She sobs, her whole body shaking as she tries to reach out to me, but I back away, my heart hardened by her betrayal. I loved you, Melissa. I trusted you. And you threw it all away. For what? For some fleeting thrill? For the satisfaction of knowing you could hurt me? She shakes her head, her tears falling faster. No, Jake, it wasn't like that. I was confused, I was lost, and Ryan, he took advantage of that. But I never stopped loving you. I never stopped caring about you. Her words feel hollow, empty, like they're coming from a stranger. I can't even look at her without feeling sick to my stomach. I can't do this, Melissa, I say, my voice breaking. I can't live with this. I can't live with you. Jake, please, she begs, falling to her knees in front of me, her hands clutching at my pant legs. Please, don't leave me. We can work through this, we can fix it. I'll do whatever it takes, just please don't walk away. But I'm already shaking my head, my mind made up. It's too late, Melissa. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. I'm done. Her sobs grow louder, more desperate, but I feel nothing but a cold emptiness inside. I pull away from her grasp and walk towards the door, my heart heavy with the finality of it all. Jake, please, she cries out, but I don't turn back. I can't. If I do, I'll crumble, and I can't afford that. Not now, not ever. I step out into the night, the cool air hitting my face like a slap. I don't know where I'm going, what I'll do next, but I know one thing for sure, this is the end. There's no going back, no forgiveness, no second chances. Melissa made her choice, and now, I'm making mine. Our paths have diverged forever, and there's no turning back. The woman I loved, the life we built together, it's all gone, shattered by lies and betrayal. And as I walk away from the house that was once my home, I know that I'll never see her again. I don't want to. The Melissa I knew, the Melissa I loved, she died the moment she betrayed me. Now, it's just me, alone with the pain and the memories. But one thing is clear, I'll never let anyone hurt me like this again. And I'll never forgive Melissa for what she's done. Our story ends here, in hatred and betrayal, with no hope of reconciliation. And as I disappear into the night, I know that I'm leaving behind not just a marriage, but a part of myself that I'll never get back.